Hello, CS112. Today I'll be going over a quick solution to Lab 0, which has to do with downloading Python, downloading a text editor, and finally running a Python file within that text editor. The text editor I will be downloading is Visual Studio Code. I do highly recommend it. It's very user-friendly and it just looks cool. And it is available for the three main operating systems, which is Windows, Mac, and Linux. I will be using a Windows operating system myself, but I will talk through what a Mac/Linux user should do and see, especially when working with their terminal. So, if on the slides, there's a link that will take you directly to where you need to download Python, but if you don't have access to the slides for some reason, you can simply Google Python download and click on the python.org link. And it'll take you to a similar page that is described on the the Lab 0 slides. Now, this website should be able to detect your OS. For me, it was able to because I'm using Windows. So there's a button right here that allows me to download the latest version for Windows. If you have Mac or Linux, it should say for Mac or Linux here, but if it doesn't, find your operating system here and click on it. Now, it did say in the lab slide you can get a Python version equal to or greater than Python 3.9.6, so 3.10.5 should be fine. It isn't a newer version. But I do know that Python 10 isn't necessarily stable, but that shouldn't matter for this course, so I'm just going to go ahead and download it. Now an executable should pop up here. You want to click on this, and now the most important thing in this entire video is going to be for Windows users clicking this button right here. If you do not click this button, your command prompt will not detect this, so you need to click Add to Path. Once you do that, you just click Install Now. For Mac and Linux users, you won't need to do this. You should just go through the basic steps of installation here, yeah, we'll start downloading. Now, I think it's very important that we talk about exactly what the command prompt and terminal is here, and I'll do that as this is downloading since this takes a couple minutes. To open up your command prompt or terminal, firstly, if you're using Windows, it's called a command prompt. If you're using Mac or Linux, it's a terminal. They're the same thing, generally speaking, for their respective operating systems. For Windows, you would either click this button down here, or click the Windows key on your keyboard and type in CMD and click Enter. So we'll open up this black box here. For Linux users, I'm pretty sure that you will have a black icon like this somewhere stuck to your taskbar or whatever you want to call it, wherever it is. You want to click on that, and that's how you open your terminal. For Mac users, you want to go to your Finder and type in Terminal, and there should be an icon that kind of looks like this, called Terminal, that you can just open up and run freely there. And this is how you would be able to check if you have downloaded the type of Python you were expecting. So as you can see here, setup was successful. All this stuff, you can just hit close. Now, how can I tell if I have set up Python correctly? Well, for Windows users, you would type in python -- version and click enter. As you can see here, Python was not found. It's actually good that I brought this up now, but your terminal is not always going to be in sync with your computer. As you can see, I opened my terminal before Python was finished downloading, so I'm going to have to close and reopen my terminal. And if I type in python -- version, it will tell me Python 3.10.5, which is what I just downloaded. Now, if you're a Linux user, this might be the same. If not, though, it's going to be Python 3 -- version. So for Linux or Mac users, well, Mac users definitely need to use Python 3, but for Linux users, you're kind of just want to try whatever works for you. For Mac users, you're going to want to type in Python 3 -- version. If neither of these are working for you, you want to try in Py -- version. Now, I will just say again, Mac users will have to use Python 3. The reason that is because they have Python pre-installed on their computer, and if you just have Python, it will read that version first since it is lower than 3. It's like Python 2.8, I think, and that's not compatible with this course, so you need to specify Python 3. So again, like I said, Mac users, Python 3, and then whatever your arguments are. If Python doesn't work for Windows or Linux users, you want to try Py -- version to check if you have the correct thing. Obviously here it won't work for me because Py is my thing. Actually, no. I just spelled this wrong, but it should work still. Yeah. Okay. Whichever you want to use though. If you want to, if whatever of these produces the correct output, that's what you stick with. So whenever you see your professor or a GTA or UTA using the Python commands, know that Python, Py, and Python 3 are all the same thing, and use which is compatible for your command prompt or terminal when they use that arguments. So now I want to quickly talk about interactive mode, which is basically a simple Python environment within your terminal or command prompt. To open this up, you would either type in Python or Python 3, depending on your OS, and click enter. So it's Python with no arguments, and as you can see, I've opened up a Python 3.10.5 environment here, and 3 carets have popped up. Now I can do very basic Python. So if I say x equals 5 and y equals, let's say, 8 plus 2, I can now or I don't even have to print. I can just say x plus y, which should give us 15 if I hit enter, and it does. So you can do very basic stuff here. But you can't interact with your computer or run other Python files from within Python interactive mode, which is what we are going to be doing next. So it's very important if you want to run a file, which is what this entire course is. You can't see these 3 carets. As soon as you see these 3 carets, you are no longer able to interact with your computer. You're just interacting in an individual Python environment. So to get out of here, you just type in exit with parentheses. That might be different on Mac and Linux, but you can just literally X out and then reopen your terminal and back here. So by default, you should be in your user directory. What a directory is essentially a folder. Let me go ahead and explain what your command prompt or terminal is real quick. I'm just gonna make it a little skinnier so I can pull up my file directory here. So your command prompt or terminal is essentially just your file system here for the most parts in this class. And you can go to different places in your computer. And to do that, you would type in CD, which stands for change directory. And for instance, if I wanted to go into my OneDrive, I can, if you saw I just did there, I can type in the first one or couple letters, hit tab to autocomplete. It will search things that it can change into, and you hit enter. And now my path has updated to users nice P in OneDrive. Now, if I wanted to see what was in OneDrive, I would type in dir, not cap lock. I'll type in dir and hit enter. For Mac and Linux users, that would be ls instead of dir. And it will list out everything within my OneDrive. For instance, I've just gone into here now, and as you can see, it is the same stuff in here. Now, I know I have a specific folder for CS112 in my lab, that's as you guys should. So I'm going to go to where that is. And I can go to multiple places at once. Like I can change through multiple directories. So for instance, right now in my OneDrive, so I see all these folders, I know I want to go into my GMU undergrad folder, into my UTA folder. So to do that, I can go here, type in CD, and then type in GMU. And since there is a space in this naming convention, it's important that you wrap it in quotes. So if I hit tab, it'll automatically put it in quotes here. If you don't, it'll read GMU and undergrad as 2 separate arguments, and you will get an error. I'll put a slash, and then I can go into my next directory, which is UTA. As you can see here, I don't have to constantly type in CD GMU undergrad, enter, CD UTA, enter. I can literally just go through it, change through as many directories as I want just with a simple backslash. And if I wanted to go back a couple directories, I can say cd ... or if I want to go back 2 directories, I can say cd ... /.. And now I'm out 2 directories. As you can see, cd ... took me out of UTA, and now I'm only in undergrad, and cd ... took me out of GMU undergrad and OneDrive, so now I'm back in a nice piece. So let me just go back to where I was before. I have a wire just getting in my way right now. Okay. GMU undergrad and then UTA, and now I'm back where I want to be. Now, I always want to be in the folder where my files are going to be because this is the only way I can interact with them. So the next thing we're going to talk about is how to download a text editor, which it's a very similar process to downloading Python. You would literally just type in Visual Studio Code and then download. You want to click on, you want to just click on this guy right here, the first link, any of the visualstudio.com download websites. And you should be seeing this icon, Visual Studio Code, just to know that you're on the right thing. And you want to click your specific operating system thing. If you do have a Linux machine, you do want to, you should know which kernel you're running on. But if you don't, you can just go to your terminal and type in uname-a, just to show you what that looks like. It would be uname-a, click enter, and it will tell you what kernel you're running on, whether it's like Ubuntu, Red Hat, etc., and just download accordingly. Again, you just click this button, it'll pop up. It's just a very similar, it's a regular download process. The only thing I must say, for any operating system, it will try telling you that you should download all these debuggers and all these extensions and add-ons. You do not want to do that for a plethora of reasons, but the main one being is your code might be like not run properly for this course if you have some specific downloads. I don't know why I just clicked on that. It might not run properly if you get these extensions. So just leave a very basic text editor for this course. I'm actually not going to show you guys the exact download process because I already have it downloaded, and I have some very specific extensions for my work, which is not school related, and I do not want to have to download those again. So once that finishes downloading, you want to find the icon and click on it, and it should take you to a, let's see what's popping up here. Okay, so it should take you to a get started thing. Again, it's going to shoot a bunch of things and tell you to download the latest extension, download this debugger, download this. Just click no to all of them. You just want a plain text editor here. So the first thing you want to do is open up a file. You will go up here to File and click New File. I'm going to click New Text File because this actually triggers one of my extensions, but when you click New File, it should by default be a text file like this. So it's always going to be a text file by default. What you want to do is go to, once you have this open, go to Save As, and then you want to give it its special name. So I'm going to say lab0, and then to specify it is a Python file, you can go down here and look for Python, but the fastest way is literally to just, the fastest way is to literally just, where was I? Okay, I have no idea where that went. The fastest way to do this is simply to type in lab0.py, and that will automatically convert it to a Python file. So I'm going to go back to GMU undergrad. You also want to save it in the correct path. Go to UTA, and this is the same folder I want to be in. So I'm saving lab0.py. This .py will automatically convert plain text to .py. I'm going to click Save. And as you can see here, your file should have this little blue Python symbol by it, lab0.py. Now, I'm going to show you one of my favorite reasons why I like using Visual Studio Code over other ones. Because you have a built-in terminal in this text editor. So if you go up here and click Terminal and New Terminal, a terminal will pop up here. I'm actually using Git Bash, which is not what you guys are seeing. I use this is exactly like your command prompt, right? So if I was to go back to my command prompts here, this is, it's the same thing. So if you guys don't feel comfortable using a terminal within Visual Studio Code, you can just split screen the command prompts in this, but this just makes things a lot easier. So again, I'm going to want to change my directory into the exact place where my code is. So it's right here. Now I can type in dir and see that lab0.py has been created. Again, dir for Mac and Linux is actually ls, so literally ls. Of course, it's not recommended or not recognized in the command prompt here. So now how can I see my code running? So I believe your first task is going to be to do something like print hello world. So once I have that typed out, again, this is pretty basic syntax. You have the print statement, whatever is within the parentheses of the print statement is what will be displayed in your terminal here. And I want to print a string hello world, so I wrap it in quotations. So the first thing I want to do is hit Control S, Command S, obviously, if you're it's not working for some reason. I think Control, I was hitting the wrong button. So you want to hit Control or Command S, and that white circle will go away. So if you have a white circle here, as you can see, I just made a space. That means there are changes on your file, and you don't want to start running and testing it yet. You want to make sure you save it. So that's Control S or Command S, and that will go away. And now I can run my thing here. So if I just simply type in Python, or again, Python 3 or Py, whichever works for you, followed by lab0.py. I can tab to autocomplete and I hit enter. It will display hello world in my terminal here. And that is how you would run a Python file. It is very important that your command prompts down here matches the path that is displayed up here. So it is right now I'm in the UTA folder where this guy is. If I, for instance, if I went back a directory and then I typed in Python lab0.py, well, my first hint should be that I can't autocomplete lab0.py because it doesn't recognize it. But if I run it, I can't open that because there's no such file or directory. So again, I just have to be in the proper thing, run Python lab0.py. And something else I just did is you can hit the up arrow key to recall the most previous command so you don't have to keep typing so much. It's a time saver. Yeah, and that sort of covers what Lab0 went over. If I were you guys, I would really get comfortable with your command prompts. All of the basic commands I ran today, I would get comfortable with how to use them, how to go to different directories, go out of directories. So the basic ones were like CDing into a directory, into multiple directories. So using the slashes, using cd ... or ... /... to go back, multiple directories or one directory, however many you want to go to. That's also important, and that is the same for Mac, Linux, and Windows. To view what your current directory is, like what the contents are, you type in dir for Windows, ls for Linux and Mac to see what your contents are. And I guess, okay, so for Linux and Mac, you actually don't see this all the time. It's kind of like concatenated into, I think it only displays the current directory you're in. So if you want to see something like this for Mac and Linux, you would type in pwd, and that would show what that is. Obviously, it's not going to be recognized in my Windows here, but actually I have a bash thing open here. So like, let's say I went to my OneDrive, GMU undergrad, and then UTA. Now, see, it doesn't show the exact path it did, like it did in my command prompts. You see, like it did in my command prompts here. So I'll type in pwd, and boom, it would show me my path. Again, if I type in ls, it will show me the contents of this folder. So they're all very similar. They all do the same thing. If you have any questions, just let us know on Piazza. Piazza is going to be your best friend this semester.